name is Hira. I was 20 years old when I left my home for the very first time. I still remember that morning clearly. The sky was a soft pale blue and the whole world seemed full of possibilities. A gentle breeze was blowing, carrying the familiar scent of home as if it wanted to hold me back for one last moment. I truly believed I was walking toward a brighter future. I thought everything I had ever dreamed of was finally within my grasp. But I had no idea I was stepping into a world filled with heavy silence, hidden fear, and secrets that no one ever dared to mention. Before I share what happened next, tell me something. Where are you listening from right now? And what time is it where you are? Write it in the comments below. And if stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe. I grew up in a small town, a place where people never locked their doors at night. Neighbors knew everyone's name, their families, and their entire life stories. Evenings were calm and peaceful, and nights felt like a warm, safe blanket instead of something to be afraid of. Life there was simple, secure, and predictable. Maybe that's why I never learned how to spot danger when it approached so quietly. When I received admission to a college in the big city, everything felt different. It seemed like the start of an exciting new chapter in my life, a chapter where I would finally become the person I wanted to be. My parents were so proud. My father hugged me tightly and said, "This is your opportunity, build your future." His voice sounded strong, but I could sense the heavy sacrifice behind his words. It wasn't just hope, it was everything they had given up for me. My mother held my face gently and whispered, "Take care of yourself." Her hands felt warm, yet her eyes carried a quiet worry. It was as if she sensed something I couldn't yet see. I smiled and told them I would be perfectly fine. I assured them there was nothing to worry about. But deep inside, I had no real idea what I was walking into. I was filled with excitement. A new city, a new beginning, and new dreams waiting to come true. Everything felt like it was finally starting. The hostel appeared perfect from the outside. There was a high gate, a security guard on duty, and very strict rules posted everywhere. The building looked solid and strong, almost as if it were guarding something important. At that time, I believed it was guarding us. Everything seemed safe, or at least it looked that way. The first few days were wonderful. I made new friends quickly. We studied together, laughed together, and shared stories about our families, our hopes, and the futures we wanted to create. Sometimes we would sit near the window, gazing at the glittering city lights and imagining all the possibilities ahead. Those lights felt magical, as though each one represented a dream waiting to be caught. I thought this was true freedom. I thought this was what growing up really felt like. But freedom can sometimes conceal things that don't reveal themselves right away. The hostel had two different sides, one that showed itself during the day and another that appeared only after dark. During daylight hours, everything looked completely ordinary. Girls hurried to classes, chatted in groups, spoke on their phones, and went about their daily lives. But when night fell, something shifted. It was quiet and gradual at first, so subtle that you could easily brush it aside. I began hearing low whispers, unclear and muffled, like voices trying hard to remain hidden. At first, I assumed it was just girls talking among themselves, but the tone slowly changed. The voices grew heavier and slower. They carried a painful sound that didn't belong in normal conversation. My heart would start beating faster. I would pull the blanket over my head, but the sounds continued. It felt as if the walls themselves were holding onto those voices. The next morning, everything appeared normal again, too normal. It was as though the night had simply wiped itself away. That's when I realized this place didn't just hide secrets, it actively protected them. Days slowly turned into weeks, and the pressure kept building. It didn't happen loudly or all at once. It crept in gradually, like something slowly wrapping around you without your notice. I started observing more details. Doors creaking open late at night, soft footsteps moving through the hallway, slow and cautious, as if someone didn't want to be noticed. I could feel eyes watching me, not openly, but the uneasy sensation of being observed even when no one was in sight. I stopped sleeping well. Every little noise sounded louder than before. Every shadow seemed darker and deeper. Even in daylight, I felt trapped, as if I couldn't breathe freely anymore, as if something unseen was constantly surrounding me. The other girls were changing too. At first, I thought they were simply exhausted from studies, but it was much more than that. Their faces looked blank and hollow. Their smiles appeared forced and unnatural. Their laughter never reached their eyes. Some girls completely avoided making eye contact. Others remained completely silent for long stretches of time. And a few looked like they desperately wanted to speak but couldn't find the courage. Something in that place was slowly breaking everyone, quietly and steadily. And nobody was doing anything to stop it. One night there was a knock on the door. It was slow and deliberate. not the knock of someone seeking help, but the knock of someone who already held power. Araba stood up right away as if she had been expecting it. That reaction frightened me more than the knock itself. She opened the door just a little. A senior girl stood outside. Her expression was calm, unnaturally calm. Her eyes fixed directly on me. It felt like she had already decided I was next. She said, "You come with us tonight." My chest tightened instantly. My mind went completely blank for a second. I replied, "I don't understand." But deep down, I already knew this was not something normal. She smiled and said, "You will soon." That smile carried no kindness. It felt like a clear warning. Araba took my hand and whispered, "Just come. Don't make it harder." Her grip was firm, almost desperate, as if she wanted to protect me but didn't know how. But something deep inside me resisted. A voice within me said clearly, "This is wrong." I said no. The entire room fell into complete silence, the kind of silence that makes the air feel heavier. The senior stepped closer and said, "If you don't cooperate, things won't be easy for you here." Tears filled my eyes. I said, "I only want to study." I spoke as if that was the last truth I still possessed. She laughed quietly and replied, "Everyone says that in the beginning." Then she turned and left. But the fear stayed behind with me. That night I cried without making a sound, not loudly, not in a way that anyone could hear, just silent tears, as if I was trying to disappear. Everything inside me was shattering, every hope I had carried, every feeling of safety, every belief I once held. I understood then that this was not random, it was planned and controlled. Everyone in the hostel knew what was happening, and yet no one ever spoke about it. That silence was not natural. It had been forced upon everyone. That same night I made a firm decision. It was a small decision, but it became the most important one of my life. I would not remain quiet, even though I was terrified, even though I didn't know what might happen next. I began writing down everything, every whisper I heard, every fear I felt, every hidden truth, every single detail I could remember. Writing became the only way I could hold on to my own reality. Because everything around me started to feel like one big lie. One day, a girl suddenly collapsed. It happened without any warning, right in front of all of us, but no one reacted strongly. No one shouted, no one rushed to help her. They simply stood there watching, as if it was an ordinary event, as if it had happened many times before. That silence felt louder than any scream I had ever heard. That moment became my breaking point. That was when I knew I could not stay in that place any longer. When my father came to visit, I handed him my notebook with trembling hands. My voice was barely a whisper. I told him, "Please take me away from here." I didn't explain every detail. I didn't need to. He looked at me and understood everything without asking a single question. A father always knows when his daughter is in trouble. That same evening, I left that place for the last time. I didn't look back. I didn't say any goodbyes. I simply walked out. But some places never truly leave you. Even after you escape, they remain in your memories, in your fears, and in your quiet moments. So if you ever sense that something is wrong, trust your own instincts, even if nobody else believes you. Even if everyone around you chooses to stay silent, speak up, ask for help, because silence only shields the darkness, and sometimes breaking that silence is the only way to save yourself. If this story stayed with you, like, comment, and subscribe to our Midnight Story Vault channel for more meaningful stories that matter.